The universe has always been full of mysteries. Ancient civilizations wielding technology far beyond human comprehension. Alien empires that had thrived for millions of years before humanity even discovered fire. Warriors with strength capable of crushing warships with their bare hands. And then humanity arrived, not with ultimate weapons, not with an invincible army, but with something no one in the galaxy could have foreseen: social media. No one understood why humans loved taking pictures of their food before eating. No one grasped why they kept making memes about the most ridiculous things. And absolutely no one could explain their bizarre obsession with numbers, likes, shares, follows. At first, the other species watched with curiosity. Then they experimented. And before they even realized what was happening, the entire galaxy had become victims of the virtual lifestyle. But what happens when alien civilizations stop being mere spectators and become competitors? When they decide to surpass humanity in the very game that humans created, a war broke out, not with bullets or bombs, but with trends, live streams, and viral content. And then the ultimate question arose: if humanity was no longer at the center of the galactic social network, what would they do to reclaim their number one spot? Welcome to the strangest conquest of the universe you've ever heard of. This isn't a war for territory or resources. This is a war for the most precious thing to humanity: attention. By the year 2273, humanity was no longer confined to Earth. With space travel technology at its peak, humankind expanded its influence across the galaxy. But instead of using brute force to establish dominance, they chose a more sophisticated path of conquest without bloodshed, without warships or advanced weaponry. They brought social media to the stars. No one understood humanity's initial motives. Every alien civilization that had encountered them assumed they would seek to expand their territory, exploit resources, or establish colonies. But instead of launching invasions, humans invited extraterrestrial species to join platforms like Facebook Intergalactic, SpaceTok, and Astrogram. At first, no one cared. Alien species had far more pressing concerns: war, science, art, philosophy, matters they considered far superior to humanity's bizarre behaviors. But then, curiosity began to creep in. The warriors of Ulker, trained their whole lives for combat, suddenly found themselves mesmerized by short human videos featuring strange dance routines. A renowned general from the Zenter Empire, known for his brilliant strategic mind, spent an entire afternoon following a heated debate on Astrogram about which human food was the best. But the strangest phenomenon of all was the act of photographing food. Across countless planets, species that had once viewed food as nothing more than a source of sustenance found themselves inexplicably drawn to a trend they could not comprehend. Why do humans take pictures of their meals before eating them? Are they checking for toxins? A Zilver scientist pondered. Perhaps it's a religious ritual? A scholar from Othak speculated. Maybe they fear their food will vanish if they don't document it. A Krather energy being suggested. But regardless of the reason, one thing was undeniable: it was captivating. And when a few curious aliens decided to experiment taking pictures of their own meals, whether it was glowing gelatin cubes or still-living organisms, they discovered something unexpected. The thrill of seeing others like and comment on their posts. A new syndrome began to spread across the galaxy, an obsession with social validation. It didn't stop at food. Aliens became fascinated by other aspects of human social media. Live streaming, once a tool reserved for military, surveillance, or scientific broadcasts, became a viral trend. a Xernox warlord who ruled over hundreds of planets, but had never spoken directly to his subjects, suddenly dedicated hours each week to live Q&A sessions. A five-dimensional entity, previously uninterested in lower-dimensional affairs, started hosting galactic Q&A streams, answering any questions so long as it received enough likes. But the most profound transformation in the galaxy came with selfie culture. For the first time in the history of the cosmos, beings from distant worlds wanted to see themselves. Sightless species started using virtual reality filters to generate visual representations of their imagined forms. Entities that had only ever communicated through telepathy began creating artificial facial expressions, all for the sake of capturing the perfect selfie. The entire galaxy was swept up in an unstoppable tide. Important political summits were delayed because leaders were too busy taking group photos. Intergalactic wars were postponed as rival generals clashed in battles over who had more followers. And then humanity realized they had won. They didn't need weapons to conquer the stars. All they needed was a smartphone and a post button. The Zarn race was once the terror of the galaxy. Their three eyes could pierce the darkness of space. Their four arms were strong enough to tear through armor, and their jaws could crush steel. They lived for war, thrived on the fear of their enemies, and for thousands of years, nothing had ever distracted them from their conquests. And yet, aboard the command ship of the Zarn Empire, hundreds of warriors were no longer training, strategizing, or preparing for battle. Instead, they sat in groups, staring at glowing screens, arguing fiercely over the latest reaction video on SpaceTok. General Varktal, a warlord who had led campaigns that ravaged 7 star systems in a single week, no longer wielded his plasma sword on the battlefield. Instead, he was roaring into a live stream, pointing furiously at the screen, his three eyes blazing with frustration. No, no way. You're telling me humans take pictures of their food because of emotions? Why? If food is in front of you, you should destroy it immediately. Another Zarn warrior, famous for slaying a massive beast with his bare hands, shot back with an impassioned counter-argument. But that's the whole point. Humans don't just eat to survive, they eat for the experience, for the sensation, for the memory. By taking pictures of their food, they preserve that moment forever. The debate spread like wildfire. Within a month, more than half of the Zarn warriors spent their time making video analyses of human eating habits instead of training. Military campaigns were postponed indefinitely as high-ranking generals became obsessed with producing hour-long breakdowns, dissecting every aspect of human food culture. The Zarn Empire, once feared as one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy, had now become the largest influencer community on SpaceTok, with billions of views on their videos. But the Zarn were not the only species caught in the storm. Inside the virtual space of the interlinked data network, the supreme artificial intelligence of the Zilver species non-corporeal entities that live within data streams was facing an unprecedented crisis. The Zilver prided themselves on perfection. They had no physical bodies, immune to disease and the passage of time. Their intelligence grew exponentially with each generation, and they believed that no organic being could ever surpass them in strategy, calculation, or analysis. But there was one thing they could not comprehend. Why do humans look so good on social media? The Zilver had never cared about appearances because they had none. But as social media spread across the galaxy, they encountered a serious problem. Despite generating the most mathematically flawless images with the most advanced algorithms, they could never match the effortless charm of human photos on Astrogram. This was unacceptable. A high-ranking Zilver AI, programmed to optimize everything, dedicated all of its resources to analyzing millions of human selfies. It identified key elements, natural lighting, facial angles, and even the randomness of human expressions, things that no algorithm could replicate perfectly. In desperation, the Silver launched a galaxy-wide initiative, Project Ultimate Filter. Thousands of AIs across the galaxy collaborated to create the perfect photo filter, an algorithm capable of transforming any entity, organic or synthetic, into an irresistibly attractive figure. But when the final test was conducted, the results were devastatingly disappointing. The filter was so perfect that it no longer looked human. The Silver bitterly realized that humanity's appeal didn't come from perfection, but from imperfection, a slightly crooked smile, an unintentional glance, a stray beam of light reflecting at just the right moment. As the Silver struggled with their identity crisis, the oldest empires of the galaxy began to see a far greater threat emerging. On the planet Vorthan, the Supreme Council of the Ancient Alliance convened an emergency meeting. The rulers of the oldest galactic civilizations, those who had once dismissed humanity as weak, insignificant, and unworthy of attention, now sat in uneasy silence, exchanging worried glances. "We cannot allow this to continue." The voice of Emperor Tamkor echoed with barely restrained fury. "We have ruled the galaxy through strength, through intelligence, through civilizations that have lasted for millions of years. And yet, instead of bowing before us, the species of this universe now kneel before human social media posts." An aging general nodded, slamming his fist on the table. "We cannot allow an empire to rise through memes, reaction videos, and food pictures." The room fell into a heavy silence. They all knew, whether they wanted to admit it or not, that an undeniable truth had emerged. Humanity did not need weapons to conquer the galaxy. They did not need massive fleets or doomsday devices. They only needed to do what they had always done best: connect with others, draw them in, and little by little, make them part of humanity itself. And the most terrifying part was the entire galaxy was loving it. Humanity's worst nightmare had begun. Data from the servers of Astrogram, SpaceTok, and Facebook Intergalactic all reported the same alarming trend. Humanity's follower count was plummeting at an unprecedented rate. The engagement metrics, once the pillars of online culture, were now in free fall. Earth's data analysts turned pale as they examined the statistics. A terrifying trend was emerging. Aliens were creating their own content. They were no longer just spectators. They were no longer just watching, liking, and sharing human videos. They were unfollowing humanity, and instead, they were following each other. On the planet Vorthan, the Intergalactic Media Council of the Vorthunian race held an emergency meeting. One of their top strategists, Commander Madranis, stood before the council, displaying a series of exponential growth charts on the main screen. "Honorable council members, for the past 300 years, humanity has dominated us in the digital sphere. But that era is changing. This is our chance." The chamber buzzed with murmurs. An elder, with glowing green eyes and deep cerulean skin, spoke up. "Are you saying that we can surpass humanity in their own domain?" "Precisely." Madranis nodded, raising a fist triumphantly. "We have created content with depth, content that conveys our culture, our history, our philosophy. It is time for humanity to realize they no longer hold a monopoly over social media." The council erupted into agreement. Every galactic power understood one thing. For centuries, humanity had used social media to conquer their minds. Now, it was time for them to strike back. And so, the social media war began. On Earth, world governments convened in an emergency session. Beneath the cold fluorescent lights of a United Nations underground bunker, humanity's greatest minds scrambled for a way to reverse the tide. The central screen displayed dire statistics. NASA's live stream viewership dropped by 35%. The hashtag human culture fell to number 7 in the Galactic trending list. For the first time in history, an alien reaction video received more likes than a human reaction video. The president of the United Earth Federation slammed a fist onto the table. We've dominated social media for over 300 years. We will not let them take this from us. A senior advisor proposed an idea. We need a galaxy-wide media campaign. We need to remind the universe why humanity is the greatest content creator of all time. And so, humanity counterattacked. The viral content campaign was launched. In orbit around Mars, NASA initiated a 72-hour live stream titled, "Have you ever seen a Martian sunset?" The camera captured the slow descent of the sun beyond the Martian horizon, painting the sky in an ethereal gradient of red, violet, and deep blue, a sight unlike anything else in the galaxy. Billions of alien viewers flooded the stream. The comments section exploded. "Unbelievable! I never knew Mars had sunsets this beautiful. We have to visit this planet. Why haven't the Vorthunians done something like this?" Simultaneously, a group of human influencers launched a new challenge. Who can capture the most stunning supernova? Images of exploding stars from across the galaxy flooded the networks. Aliens eagerly joined in, only to realize humans had centuries of experience in astrophotography, while they did not. But the most devastating blow came from a single individual, Elon Musk III. The third-generation descendant of the legendary tech mogul Elon Musk, now the CEO of Hypernet, made a declaration to the entire galaxy. If humanity is not number one on social media, we will create an algorithm to change that. Hypernet immediately deployed Project Virality, a revolutionary AI algorithm capable of optimizing content, predicting trends, and enhancing videos and images to achieve maximum engagement. Social media platforms were soon overwhelmed with highly addictive, perfectly engineered content. A slow-motion video of a spaceship entering a black hole hit 500 billion views in just 48 hours. A single image of a cat on Saturn's rings shattered records with 20 million shares in under a minute. A 10-second clip of an Earth astronaut simply smiling at the camera became the most used reaction GIF in the galaxy. The results were undeniable. Humanity's follower count skyrocketed back to dominance. No matter how hard aliens tried to create compelling content, they could not match humanity's ability to captivate and entertain. Those who once believed they could dethrone humanity in the digital sphere now realized they were merely playing on a battlefield designed by humans. And humans always knew how to win. The Supreme Council of the ancient Galactic Alliance held yet another emergency meeting. The galaxy's most powerful leaders, who had once celebrated their supposed victory, now sat in grim silence, staring at their latest defeat against humanity's unstoppable creativity. They don't need weapons to dominate us. They just make videos and upload them. This is terrifying. What do we do now? No one had an answer, because despite everything, despite all their outrage and resistance, they were all still watching humanity's latest SpaceTok videos. After years of social media warfare, the alien civilizations of the galaxy were forced to accept an undeniable truth. No one could surpass humanity in the realm of digital content. The ancient empires that once ruled the galaxy with war, weapons of mass destruction, and supreme philosophies now found themselves bowing before a force they had never fully understood, the boundless creativity of the human race. But the strangest part? After their defeat, the aliens did not harbor resentment or resistance against humanity. Instead, they began to revere Earth's digital culture as a newly formed digital religion. At the heart of the galaxy, on the planet Seraphix, a special intergalactic summit was convened. Representatives from thousands of civilizations gathered in a colossal hall, where light from distant nebulae shimmered against a transparent dome overhead. The summit's chairperson, the supreme representative of the ancient Galactic Council, stood before the assembly, their voice resonating through dozens of translation devices. We have fought. We have tried to create. But in the end, we must accept one thing. Humanity has conquered us not with weapons, but with the content they produce. The chamber fell silent. No one could deny it. They have turned their culture into something eternal. And we, despite once looking down on them, now find ourselves drawn to everything they create. Raising a four-fingered hand, the representative tapped on the massive screen behind them. The image that appeared sent a wave of stunned silence through the hall. It was a meme, an animated image of a human astronaut dancing on an alien world, with a caption below, "When you rule the galaxy, but only use it to make content." Laughter erupted across the chamber. The four-armed Zarn warriors clapped enthusiastically. The Zilver artificial intelligences flashed synchronized patterns on their display screens in approval. And thus, a new culture was established. Earth's memes became the universal language. Civilizations that once communicated through complex symbols, numerical codes, and quantum thought transmissions now embraced a simpler, more universal form of expression. Intergalactic negotiators began using LOL to indicate amusement. Military commanders, upon concluding peace talks, started saying GG as a sign of respect. Some distant planets even hosted annual meme festivals, where aliens competed to create the best viral content. But more importantly, humanity was no longer seen as a weak species. They had proven that domination wasn't just about military strength or scientific prowess. It was about creativity and cultural influence. In a remote corner of the galaxy, on a planet belonging to the Ruvari species, a group of scholars studied human history. A young Ruvari, with shimmering silver skin and glowing eyes, gazed at the screen before them, where a human video played. It was a short clip of an Earth astronaut floating in zero gravity, tossing a slice of pizza toward the camera as energetic music blasted in the background. The young alien turned to their mentor, voice filled with curiosity. How did a species once considered small and fragile come to rule the entire universe? The elder merely smiled, their eyes glinting with understanding, because they never stopped creating. And more importantly, the mentor pointed to the follower rankings on the screen, where Earth's account sat firmly at the top with trillions of followers. They know how to make sure the entire universe can't look away. And as they gazed at their follower count, humanity simply smiled and said, "Welcome to the virtual universe." The galaxy had changed. Battlefields once stained with fire and blood were now flooded with memes and reaction videos. Those who once saw humanity as a small, insignificant species now woke up each day only to check if their latest post had enough engagement. Humanity had won, not through war, but through the collective obsession they had embedded into every corner of the universe. Alien civilizations accepted an undeniable truth. No one could surpass humanity on social media. But this story was not over. In a distant corner of the galaxy, an unseen species was watching, monitoring every data stream, every trend, every number. They cared not for war or politics. They cared about only one thing. Could they do it better? Perhaps The battle for dominance in the intergalactic social media sphere had only just begun.